Welcome everybody. Good afternoon. It's 3:30 on the clock, the 33 of the Christ vibration, backed up by 0, which is source energy. And I have some big messages again today. I did 2 of my 4 to 5 deck reads, and then I did a mini read of the 7 deck read. So there's only actually 3 decks today on the table for the twin flame read. And let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths first, and then we'll get right into it. We're going to roll the die and do oracle cards at the end. And a picture that I just looked at was literally, it had LIL in it, and Lilith is coming energy as it's changing signs in January. So very significant there as well. Let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths. Again. And one more deep breath. Sending lots of love and blessings out to everybody. Thank you all for being here with me. And I hope you're having a beautiful day. It's kind of like overcast and rainy here, but it's warm again. It's been a really warm winter. And let's get right into this. We're going to roll the die. Today is January 3rd, 2023. So today adds up to 11, which is justice, and the 3 of the Empress energy. All right, so for the twin flames for January 3rd, 2023, we have the south node here, which is Scorpio still. Is that the south? No, I'm blanking out. One second. Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure. All right, so the south node in Scorpio, and then we have number 9, which is also the Hermit, and September, which is Virgo. Could be Libra in there too as well, going in September. But the 9 is the endings, the 1 in the all, the Hermit energy, as well as the collective. And then we have the Cancer symbol, which is like the 69 of the Ace of Pentacles, and the home and family kind of energy there, and with the south node in Scorpio. So we literally have every 2 signs. So it goes Cancer to Virgo is 2 signs, and then to Scorpio is 2 signs. And I had always heard growing up was you're always going to be surrounded by 2 signs ahead of you and 2 signs behind you. That you may look toward, it's 3:33 on the clock, and you may look toward 2 signs ahead of you, but 2 signs behind you may also get on your nerves at times. But you're always surrounded around those energies. So Cancer, Virgo, and Scorpio. And remember, South Node is letting go of those Scorpio traits that no longer serve, right? You've already learned that lesson. That's going away. The first, is this the first one? Yes. All right. So the first 4 deck read, actually they're both 4 deck reads that I did, is the Wild Unknown Animal Guidebook up top there, my half deck of Rider-Waite, the second deck, and then the Energy deck, and then Romance Angels I used for this 4 deck read. I'm going to bring them up a little bit closer. You can see on the left is the underlying energies. On the right is the cards I had to count. I did pull out 3 cards for each deck. Okay, and the third card over here is bunched with these 3 because they came out together that way. Okay, so let me just put these bowls back first. Okay, so I did this read yesterday, and it was very interesting, the energies that were coming up. So the energy yesterday morning, I had watched Sam's video, and he was talking about Ishmael Perez, which was really interesting because the names that he gave Ishmael in his different lives were all of the energies that were coming up this week. So one of his names was Akai, which is like the Kai energy, which has been coming up a lot this month. And then his other name was R, like AR, which just came up in Armenian, etc., as in the God energy. And then his other name was Pyra, which I talk about as the pyramid and the fire in the belly all the time. And that, Sam said, meant the awakened one. So that was kind of interesting. And then the Christ energy and the dawning here was coming up. So again, Aquarius, that energy of the dawning of Aquarius. But again, dawn comes up when I break it down as the day of two yous and Christ, the Christ, you being Christed as the twins. And so I looked up Christ again, and one of the definitions of Christ is actually grime, and I found that very interesting. And it goes along or parallels with the fact that we humans see certain things as dirty when they're actually, dirt is just earth, which is natural. And remember, and being that my father was a physician growing up, it was always, it's good to have a little dirt around because it builds up your immune system. So the definitions of Christ are, of course, the anointed one. And remember, anointed has to do with being oiled, which means feeling greasy or dirty. And then grime was the other definition. And I looked up the different spellings of Christ and things like that too. And Christ with a K is to fall or Christ. And then the definitions for grime was dirt, mask, halter, like the horse's halter, which is like a leash. And then to sprinkle, anger, wrath as well. And it's an English type of music as well, grime, right? So the anointed one is masked or haltered, put on a leash, dirty, oily, or plasma-y. Because, right, plasma is that oily water look. They're plasma-y, which Magenta was just talking about in her video yesterday, the day before, from November. The plasma is actually the stardust from the star system you come from, that you come down with the stardust, or perhaps that Pleiadian DNA that doesn't get activated until you awaken. But again, you see how all these pieces of information are coming together right now. So Christed is also bridled, right? So it's, and the bride. So it's that energy of being hitched. And then I looked up grime and broke that down into GR and IM, where IM is the I am presence, right? Or the I am and the M of co-creation. And the GR is to be still, silent, grain, or a unit of mass, like one of many. Those who do, who spend, who effort, or in other words, live. So these were definitions that came up for grime. So then I pulled some cards, and I got the Three of Swords and the Ace of Swords. Through separation, heartbreak, and disappointment, the truth will set you free. Pulling each of three swords out for present to the Hierophant, which is a man-made construct of societal norms and religion. Through the wounding of the heart comes great truth, that you walk with God as the fool and their dog, going wherever the wind blows, with the sun at their back, away from dysfunction and or human attachments to time, money, and effort, and victim mentality or the need to sacrifice. For to sacrifice is to kill oneself, as opposed to allowing the other to rise to the occasion and break patterns. and break the act and truly find balance themselves and receive love. So this first message here from this 4-deck read started at 120 yesterday, which is the one of the Magician, the Divine Masculine, the one of the leap from dot to dot. It's actually an arc, not a line. At 120, 21, 22, and 24, which is Judgment, the World, the Fool, and then the 24 of the Queen of Wands, which is also Omega. The Unknown Guidebook had 3 cards at the end. Half deck had 3, the Energy deck had 2, and the Romance Angels had 2 as well. And I looked at 3322, and from Gematria, it was just divide, they try, fail, they will. And I looked up 3323 accidentally first, and that first entry was the moon is present, even in the light, but the foolish queen has forgotten. And I'm bringing that up because the queen came up again today in today's message. So I started this 4-deck read at 127. Again, the Magician, the Divine Masculine, the 27 of the Ace of Wands, that new passion. The underlying energy was the Starfish and the King of Pentacles. The 38 of the 4th chakra, Archangel Raphael, which we don't talk about a lot, which is very much about the physical healing, and passion. The star, Christ, or Pisces, or superficial star, JC, superstar, and the King of Pentacles with a lot of flash on the outside, but the 38 of the Queen of Cups. And what does his heart look like? Does he show his soft feminine side, his physical healer side, his passions, allowing your heart and soul to sing with joy here? The Star, King of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups healer, together heart and soul sing with joy. The vulnerable earthworm, one of the earth, the dirt, the grime, the oily one, with great light within, easily intimidated, as we talked about Tim before, as the top dog in the I Am Presence. The human amidst in Tim and dated ancient ones. The cosmic egg collective awakening, side by side, can be seen as the earthworm top down in this deck. Circling the crown. Or is that the croc version of the lamb? And the snake is the sealed collective awakened. But remember that the circle is not a circle, but a spiral. There's no real seal here. Even the snake, with its tail in its mouth, has space between and bites off their tail to spite their nose and their face. He or she is not with their tail in their mouth, but actually resting their chin on their tail, that they're told. Their laurels, the 7 of Pentacles, of the good work they've done, at the 7 or the crown, and whether or not they stay or go to infinite heaven. Or 8, 9, right? 7, 8, 9, made in heaven. Or 10, begin again. So at 140, which is the Magician of the Divine Masculine, and the 40 of the Page of Cups. At the crown is the peacock, with hat and tails, blue, green, and yellows. Or the sun of the solar plexus, the soul. The heart, which is the earth, it's the same letters in heart and earth. And then the voice or the throat chakra is the songbird. Staying in the middle, the 3 colors in the middle. The middle 3 clammed up, with feelings out instead, and shining their light, letting their love light speak for themselves. Are you happy doing what you do, whether someone receives it or not? Would you still do it for the sheer pleasure of being you? Snap P came up in the letters here. Coy or cocky starfish. Snack, peak, cocoa, or perhaps a koi, Oko Y came up, which is the reverse of Yoko. So Yoko Ono came up, and then right away came up, beautiful, 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 beautiful boy. So the butterfly and the lamb, Mary Magdalene and JC, the vulnerable learning to fly, and the vulnerable target to her diamond light. With crocodile hovering with no sense of smell, or I smell the blood of an Englishman, as we're talking about the Beatles. And then this information comes up from HuffPost.com on Sean Lennon. So it's Guided to Beautiful Boy, which is Sean Lennon, John Lennon's son, and they were born exactly on the same day, October 9th. John Lennon was born 1975, October 9th, and Sean was born 1940. So what came up was an article from Sean, an interview from HuffPost.com, that John actually had a bad temper. And remember, they're air signs, so air signs tend to be in their heads, and they tend to snap when they get mad. And he was recounting when he was about 4 years old, he was learning how to use a knife with John, and he was only 4, so he remembers later on maybe, making fun of using a knife or something, and John yelled really loud in his ear and actually damaged his ear, and he had to go to the hospital, as he recalls. And of course, John was immediately apologetic to him after that. The article said that Sean said, after doing something cheeky with the steak, after trying to learn how to use a knife with steak earlier that day, the silencing of the lamb, with crocodile biting off their nose to spite their face, the lamb crow ear causes snappy, cocky path of starfish, with beautiful feelings, but perhaps not such beautiful thoughts, trying to be Libra perfect to his Libra perfect son, or in other words, facing himself, not loving himself as he is. And again, I related to this very much so because my mother probably saw me as her and then was hardest on me. She took a lot out on me because she saw me as herself. And then the movie Beautiful Son also came up, which when I looked at the trailer again, because I had seen this movie, the energy about the son who couldn't be fixed, right? Already lost too far to drugs, no longer being able to see their true self. And it was very sad because it wasn't a happy ending. The crow stands guard along with horse or whore that sees, which references the Mary Magdalene thing, or the hoe arse, the butt of the two-man horse, or the butt of the joker, the 3D gateholder in the collective awakening, with the front man, Mr. Ed, opening his third eye, with superficial star facing God himself, the bat lost in space learning to use their wings and far from home. With 1, 2, and then 3 cards total coming out here at the end, the reflecting swans or twins, the fox and bee, where the fox is loyal and watching, and the bee is hardworking and hovering. The starfish and crow, whore sees bat, the swa fox and bee, and then the faux bee, right? Perhaps a false bee, or Phoebe comes up again, which that just came up, and it's not a common name to come up. So I looked up Phoebe News, and Phoebe Bridges came up in an interview about her and her mother, talking about an NSFW joke about her, that's what love is, and apparently she had sent her mother a crotch photo to make sure she didn't have herpes or something like that, but that's the intimacy that they had between the mother and daughter, that you'd only send that to someone that you truly trust. And also there was, I guess, some discussion in this article about the abuse of the father. And that was coming up from Yahoo Independent, yahoo.com. So at 227, the underlying energy here was the Page of Cups and the King of Cups, or sovereign loving child, and the King of Cups, or again, father and son, who are very much like each other, working to inspire the King of Pentacles, or perhaps the other child's fame or success, or 2 men with 2 children between them, and another left behind, perhaps for a new family. And again, 227 is the divine feminine then, or the higher self, or the high priestess, and the 27 of the Ace of Wands, of that new passion or inspiration. So then at 230, which is the 30 of the union or the home, the Page of Pentacles, student of ascension or travel here, the warriors and their horses and or sphinx, with Sagittarius and Cancer and the superficial life, learning to be self-satisfied by themselves or going it alone, or child leaving home to find themselves and finding themselves ungrounded and lost, with the Knight of Swords partner or soulmate rushing in at a moment's notice, finding death, an end, or dark night of the soul, or dark night walking or facing their maker in a wake-up call at 2:32, the divine feminine or higher self, and the journey of the journeyman, right, coming in with the good news to lead the way. With Aquarius, Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, Cancer, Libra, and Scorpio all here, and all the earth signs. So the only ones missing there were Leo and Aries, but they must have been there too, with the star present, of course. At 2:37, where 37 is the King of Cups and unconditional love, the underlying energy of the 45 of the man holding a heart and purging, the 28 of the path or the twin victory of peace, and the 17 of the star of polarized horses, the black and the white coming together to take action or merging, alchemizing to the middle. The one of being in the sun, enjoying the water and the fresh air, and the ceramic cup representing the earth, stretching and enjoying January's newness, and the 27 of the Ace of Wands walking away, leaving home or leaving sun behind, inspired by passion, or is it envy or the judgment of a dark mother, causing them to leave, or maybe they're the ones leaving them. With the 32 of the journey of opening the door to spirit to clear the air, a new door, a new perspective to the 38 of the Queen of Cups and the 4th chakra of Archangel Raphael, or physical healing happening here. At 2:43, the divine feminine and the coming together of the 43 and the 3 of Cups. The first card here was the 34 of the energetic exchange, the arrows of love. Lots of back and forth energy in opening windows and doors, in personal healing and happiness, with doves present. And I was just getting now Prince with Why Doves Cry. The 3 of Mother Nature and blossoming abundance, and the 4 of the happy family structure of the Emperor under the rainbow bridge where land meets sea, or the feminine meets the masculine here. The 3 and the 4 of the Empress and the Emperor, of the mother and father, and the exchange between them that creates the children between them. One perhaps that's the sweetheart or the star, and one that's like you with anxiety, or the 18 of learning about the purple moon. The 11 of justice of cornucopia, or thanksgiving every day, that through death lies transmutation, transformation, and ultimately transcendence, getting beyond that. You no longer need to do that anymore. At 2:51, the divine feminine and the King of Swords, and the underlying energy of chemistry, of strong magnetics. Sorry, left the screen all blurry. The chemistry of strong magnetics and reconciliation, returning from your past, separation and time apart from your partner on the horizon, with passion and allowing your heart and soul to sing with joy. At 2:53, with the Knight of Swords, playfulness, to recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. New love here as well, as a new person has stirred your romantic feelings. Then 3 cards came out together as the 3rd card, to let go of control issues, to allow things to unfold naturally, that you're dealing with finances and careers issues affecting your love life, and engagement, that your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. At 2:58, the divine feminine and the 4 of Swords, of rest or taking a break, meditation, or the 5D connection within. So the second read here from this morning is also 4 decks, but I used a different set of 4 decks. So this first one is the Shaman deck at the top, and then the Wild Unknown Animal Guidebook is the second deck, and then the half deck of Rider-Waite, and then the last one is Nature Whispers. But you see that the half deck of all the people ended up pyramiding down like this in a bit of a story here. So that'll be very interesting. I'm going to bring them a little closer so you can see the cards better. Okay, so Shaman Dreams, the Wild Unknown, the Half Deck of Rider-Waite, and then the Nature's Whispers at the bottom. So the first thing that happened before this read this morning was I was listening to Cryon when I woke up this morning. And it was a Cryon, I think I actually have it on here, let me see. Because it was a good one to listen to, because he talks about what really happened with Jesus and Joseph. That was a very interesting one. Let's see if I have it on here. Which one it was. Yeah. Okay, so it's called Cryon December 2022. Cryon guarantees your connection will return and everything will change. So in this episode of Cryon, let me get back to the picture I had up because I wanted to show you that as well. He talks about what really happened with Jesus on the cross and the Last Supper, that it wasn't a special supper, that it was a regular Passover that they normally would have, and that actually it was that not everybody was present at the hanging, only the family, like would normally happen, right? They don't want a bunch of observers to observe anything they're doing wrong that they could receive paybacks for. But the family being present, including Mother and Mary Magdalene, and Joseph being the uncle, was the one who actually took him down off the cross and buried him in his tomb. So he's, according to Cryon, Jesus was buried in Joseph's tomb. So then Glastonbury came up and he talked about Golgotha, which I wasn't sure what that was. So I was looking up different terms to see what he meant, or what definitions I was being guided to. He also wanted to emphasize again that the first church built for Jesus that Joseph built actually had no crosses in it. And then he referenced it to Glastonbury where he was doing his talk at that time, that it was right here in Glastonbury. He also brought up again that our 24th chromosome, or actually the number 2 chromosome, which they can't quite figure out, is the 24th Pleiadian multidimensional chromosome that gets activated as you awaken. He also talked about our awakening of as the Pleiadians, the seeds of the Pleiadians, that, you know, they went through the same thing. Basically, he described it as Hathor, and then seeding the Arcturians, and then who then in turn seeded and watched the Pleiadians grow. But the Pleiadians being 9 stars, but we only see 7 as the 7 sisters. And then bringing the Earth back to Lemuria. And he said Lemuria or something. He's pronounced the O differently than I would say it. So then I ended up looking up Lemuria, and actually Lemuria is actually Le Maria, the mother. So I looked up all the different Murias to see the definitions, to see what kind of message I was getting as the geese were all flying by, and they sounded like they were right outside my window harmonizing. It was really cool. That was at 10:51 this morning, which is the 10 of the Wheel of Fortune, the 51 of the King of Swords. So Muria with a U is brine or pickling or salting, right? Preserving something. Mura is ground or sediment, like stardust. That we are, so we're supposed to be, so not only did Benedetta bring it up, but Cryon brought it up in this video as well, that we are stardust. We are stardust from our star system that we come from. Murray is also non-uniformity in the luminance of a display device. Myrrh also comes up with the wall, the brick wall, also to ripen, mature. And then the exterior wall, the mouse, which came up in the movie I watched last night about a girl who got stuck in a freezer and was freezing to death, and the mouse that she got stuck in there with died as well. And the mouse came up right here again, and regarding the exterior wall being like a protection device. Moria with an O is frivolity, or the inability to be serious. Elevated mortality, or in other words, to die, or more, that there's more. And then Hathor came up again, which is the goddess of joy, love, and motherhood. And Hathor just came up the other day, I think it was Hathor, regarding the parallel of Sophia, the same type of energy, and also, of course, one of the eyes or daughters of Ra. the consort of Ra and Horus. And Hathor is the one with the cow's head, the cow's horns, the sun disk, and the snake. And in the picture they had in Wikipedia, I guess it was, she was carrying an ankh and some kind of staff. And I was getting the word hoe, you know, like a hoe that you would use in the dirt. So Maria comes up as meaning mare, like a female horse, water, Mari, or to marry, to be fitting, drinkable water. They wed, we marry, or to get married, in other words. And Maria also, with an accent, means magpie, housewife, uncultured woman, and also a clipping of marijuana as marijuana. So, of course, and Maria, which is mother of Christ. And then there was a squirrel at the window. So I was looking up, he said Galgolfa. And I'm like, what is Galgolfa? And I couldn't find any spelling that fit that word the way he said it. But what I did find was Galgofalante. So that could be like Galgofa. And then Lante, which is, Falante is actually the speaker, and it brings up Galatian. So I don't know if they're talking about Iberian energy or Gaelic energy. It could go for both in the type of term that was coming up. So Galician is actually Iberia, which is probably Irish Spain, right? The top west-north corner of Spain is maybe an Irish settlement there. But Galgolfa. So then I broke down Galgolfa, which Gal is probably G-A-L or G-A-L-L, but it's probably G-A-E in that Gaelic ash energy. But of course the Gulf, I wasn't getting anything on that side specifically. So the Gulf references, you know, like the Gulf of Mexico and the Gulf Stream. So when I looked that up, that was really cool, and I'll show you that in a minute. But the Celtic Sea and the northwest Spain, Iberia was coming up there, as well as Galatia, which is the Celtic tribe in the region of Spain, which I was just describing in like Iberia. It's considered an autonomous region of Spain in the northwest corner. And also the Manx came up amongst the Gaelic energies in Ireland. And then the Dutch also came up with the word G-A-L-G, which means Dutch, long switch, rod, shaft, pole, perch, and the gallows, like the cross, as we just talked about, taking Jesus off the cross. And Gulf means bosom, basin, abyss, hollow place in the earth, or whirlpool, also referenced as a sucking eddy, which cracked me up because I used Mr. Ed as God. And again, there's this reference of bosom and the breastfeeding child. And bliss. It also means large space or gap, the difference between groups, or those who just passed their exam or just made it with the minimum. Or in other words, the meanings have to do with holding cell at time of death, perched in the bosom, the abyss, in the valley of the shadow of death, the whirlpool, the long switch or shift, the shaft, in sucking eddy, the bosom or bliss of the space between. So then I looked up Glastonbury to see why. I don't know that much about England actually, but they were guiding me to Somerset, England, and there's also a Glastonbury in Connecticut. But Glasto means woad, or the plant that they make blue dye from. And then again, the Gaelic or Irish energies were coming up. And from the Britannica.com, under the header, it was describing the Irish language. And then it said in the header, Irish is ... And then it said author, which I got Hathor right away. The editors of Encyclopedia Britannica. But it didn't say Britannica, it said Britain. So that was really funny the way that came up. It said Irish is ... author, or Hathor, the editors of Encyclopedia Britain. Very interesting. So Gal, and you guys might know what this is, I just don't know what it is, the Galgolfa that Cryon had said. But so G-A-L-L or G-A-L and then G-H-A-E-L came up, which is a mixed Irish and foreign descent, or English Irishman. Galgo is Welsh, a Welsh saint. And then Manx, or the Isle of Man, between Ireland and England. Scottish Gaelic and Irish Gaelic are both in the northwestern kind of corners, or the western side towards the north. Glastonbury is actually very central, southwest England. But the others, like Ireland, is the hill of Tara. And then Brittany is in the northwest of France. Really more just the west coast. But it all looked like that kind of energy. It was all very mountainous regions off to towards the northwest. So then it was leading me. I found a picture. I just came across it of the Gulf Stream, and check this out. So what did I just post the other day? I posted a magic tree at the mouth of the Mediterranean Sea coming into the Atlantic Ocean at the Gibraltar Strait. And so what does the Gulf Stream look like? The magic tree with the roots and sprouting all around, coming up from the coast of Florida, up the United States, and then going in all directions north towards Europe, and then coming down to Spain. And actually, I think originates from Africa and comes up this way in a circle, and then it goes down back around like this, and then it comes back down to Africa again. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So there's your magic tree, the Gulf Stream waters, and they specifically have the British Isles labeled on this, as well as Greenland and Iceland going towards those energies, and Europe, and then back down to Africa through Spain. And then where it starts at the Gulf of Mexico is 3 routes. One Gulf of Mexico, one's Cuba, and one is the West Indies next to the Bahamas there. It's very interesting the way it was labeled. So those 3 routes come up together at Florida and the Bahamas, up the East Coast, that veers off around North Carolina to Virginia, around the D.C. area, and then staying close to the coast through Canada, and then out to Greenland, Iceland, north of Iceland, the British Isles toward Estonia and Europe, and then below the British Isles, bowing back down to Spain. The tree that joins North America and Europe. And then there was a picture of the Gulf Stream from BBC that described the Gulf Stream. The warm water travels about 2 meters per second. And the evaporation raises the density, and then north, the higher density water then sinks. And then there was a picture of the UK Somerset County Gulf Pier lamping the night lilac sky, which was a really beautiful picture, but it reminded me of one of the cards from the decks. I think it's from the Metatron deck, actually. So we have now this second 4-deck read, which the first Shaman deck was pulled at 1221, and so was the Wild Unknown Animal Tarot, or the guidebook. We're at 1221 today, 1221 to 22 for the Wild Unknown. And then the half deck was pulled at 1224, which is the Queen of Wands, after the World, 21, which 24 is also Omega. And then Nature's Whispers was pulled at 26, which is the Page of Wands, which I also referenced. I think 26 is like a big year of new beginnings, right, after getting through 25. So when Cryon was talking about Jesus, and I'm like, well, what about Sarah then, for those who believe that there's a daughter? And just because if Jesus wasn't still alive at his death, it doesn't really matter. Mary Magdalene could still have been pregnant and had a daughter, Sarah. But when I got Sarah, I was getting the word Sera came up, S-E-R-A, which is plural for serums. It also means to close, shut, and lock. Right after I had written down the time 12:34, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, shut the door, and I'd written that down, shut the door. And then this word came up that I defined, which meant to close or shut or lock. to latch to be. It's also Sera is evening, like Buona Sera. It also means to bind, bolt, and colostrum, bee stings, enemy, and policy, as well as greenhouse. But I wasn't getting like a greenhouse right away for plants. I was getting greenhouse as opposed to not the White House. And plus I had a dream this morning when I was waking up, and it was in Florida, which was really weird. I was moving to a home with a man. I don't even think I knew who the man was, but he was helping me move. And then my father was being put into a facility, like an outpatient care facility, like an emergency ward. And then when I got there, my brother and sister were both there, and it was a perfectly happy energy in the dream. But I just remember being in Florida, that I was moving in Florida. And again, the Gulf Stream came up today, so that was very interesting. So the piles at the end of each deck here came out 1, 2, 5, and 2, so I looked up that number. And when I pulled the Wild Unknown deck, I'd seen one of the pictures that came across as I was looking up the information was a picture, of a typical Irish or English wall, like where it's perfect grass field at the top, and then there's this huge wall going down to the sea. But it brought up fear in me, right? There's a very intimidating energy about that. So I looked up 1252, and the first entry was 1.5 million written out and all smushed together. The second entry was Washington, D.C., as I just brought Washington, D.C. up. The third entry was 1.5 million, but not smushed together this time. And the fourth entry was the twins, along with numbers 708 and 118, which I was getting as 7 and 8 is the calm before the storm with space between. And 118 is often an amount people used to give as a Jewish gift, right? Because it had the 18 in it plus $100. So that energy of Chi was coming up. But was also interesting when I wrote down the cards that came out for the half deck, there were 5, but then a whole bunch more cards came out, and altogether it was 26, but I pulled another card because it fit in the story, which was the 27. So I wrote down 26 and 27, and the numbers associated with the 1.5 million and Washington, D.C. were 127 and 126. So they came out again with the 1, again, that 100 energy, which is double zeros of source embodiment behind the 1, which is the leap from point to point. So it's actually an arcing, a leap of faith. So the twins were coming up here as the space between the 7 and the 8, the calm before the storm. And it was also the 59th hit, which is the 11th hour, again, the calm before the storm, the minute before the hour, the war within. And then the 118, remember the 1 is the leap between 2 points. So it was the leap of 18, or Chi, and then it's 2 leaps because there are 2 ones, which is the 11 and the 8. So 2 leaps, or the double leap to the 8 dance of the twins, which, remember, it's a line regarding alignment from 2 lines to 1. So going from the 11, 2 leaps of 1 and 1 to 1, 8, which is both of the ones then coming together in this dance with each other. So at 12:34, I started here with 1, 2, 3, 4, shut the door. That was the first thing I wrote. And the 25 of the Garden of Venus. And Ireland came up right away. The crocodile, Knight of Pentacles came up, and then the 2 of the illumination of the butterfly realms and the dark side of the moon. And this card always brings up Indigo Angel for me because it just looks like her and it has a tattoo of a butterfly on her. And then the Knight of Wands comes up here with rest and renewal for the crocodile who's laying in wait for the Knight of Pentacles to offer help to illuminate the divine feminines, the high priestess, the higher selves, the daughters. From the Garden of Venus to the dark side of the moon, the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles, with crocodile laying in wait like the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood through the woods to grandmother's house. At 1240 then, the underlying energy with the Hanging Man and the Page of Cups there, the 17 of the Eye of the Needle and the Dream of Intent, with the 60 of the Watchers, the Totem Tyon or Tiger Lioness in a totem pole, right? The Watchers, the happy retired ones in the desert, right? Keeping watch of everyone. The Desert Shamans. But I was getting like Gaelic desert, but what's Gaelic desert? Is there Irish desert? I don't know. So then Hathor was coming up, again with Sophia, but Eve was also coming up. Oh, it's actually I, but Eve just came up now. And then Hathor, Sophia, and they're referencing me as well because I connect with Sophia. The 176, so 1760 came up with the 2 cards to look up. So I looked up 1760, but when I wrote it, the 0 had a little scribble by accident in it, so it became a Q. So 176Q came up as well. And then I wrote Q question mark, but then it looks like Q3, which looks like the 3rd quarter. So I looked up 1760, and the first entry was because we are the storm. All right, as I just talked about the calm before the storm, because we're in a 7-year now, and we'll be going to an 8-year next year of the Queen of Wands. This year is the King of Wands finding peace. Next year is the Queen of Wands finding her power, right? The second entry was, do you believe in coincidences? The third entry was future world leader. And the fourth entry was spirit, blood, water, flesh, man. The fifth entry was my wife is life, I am the death. The seventh entry was love Jesus. The 10th entry was can't get you out of my head. The 13th was 657, so I looked that up as well. The 14th was a resurrection Sunday has happened. 15th entry was change your life forever. 16 was 14, but not spelled correctly. It was F-O-A-R. I don't know if that's actually a real word in another language, but it was coming up as 14 twice, and then center, but spelled wrong as well, as C-E-N-T-E, which is another word, but it's not center. It looked like it was supposed to be 14, 14, center, center, 14, 14, center, center, but it was spelled in those ways. The 20th entry was the Antichrist takes the mark of the eye of the iris, which I found very interesting, as I was just talking about the 3 eyes of Ra, and then the iris, which was always my favorite flower, but again, the iris of the eye. And the 21st entry was the deadly sin against the Holy Spirit, which again can reference Sophia. The 20 being the magic of the mauve zone. And then towards the end, these last ones, I was getting a little bit nauseous. And then I got nauseous too when I looked up 657, where the first entry was a dark night to remember. The second entry was ripple case settled. The third was take it to the pit. The fourth entry was Agent Kennedy. The fifth was Society. 6 was Stranger Things. 7 was Rise from the Ashes. 8 was Cult Leader from Hell. 9 was Emerald City. And then another one, just randomly, 15 was The Perfect Stone. So then I looked up 176, which the first entry was Natalie, which Natalia just came up the other day. So there's something significant about the name Natalie or Natalia. And then Abracadabra came up, Carbon, Dogalon, which is also dog, Elon. And then Eris came up, A-R-E-S, Adriana, Dreaming, Folks, Cobalt, Ezra, which just came up in my read, Farah, Amnesia, Chrome, Ears, Sailing, Bible, Code Name. And then the 17th entry was I Think, 18 was Finding God, 19 was Meant, which is intention, 20 was Sarah, S-E-R-A, again, we're connecting to Sarah. 21 was L'Oreal, and then 22 was Mensch. Okay, so enough of the gematria stuff. So again, greenhouse effect was coming up, as well as shut the door at 107. So again, and that came up too when we have, if we have a 3 days of light or 3 days of dark, either way. I don't know if it was Cryon or someone else, probably Cryon, was talking about if we have the 3 days of darkness, we would probably just sleep a lot for 3 days. And if we have the 3 days of light, you just stay indoors, so you don't get so much of the intensity. But I was getting that energy of that greenhouse effect and to shut the door. And again, Sam, in his prediction for the year each month, was channeling that February we'd have a 15-day period. So you can listen to his video about that if you'd like. But again, the greenhouse effect, or heated by solar radiation, retained by its atmosphere, and again related to global warming. And then I looked up Sarah as an SERA, and one of the meanings is father or reverend. And again, to be, as well as sulfur and earwax came up, and greenhouse again. Sarah also means lady, princess, and a name that looks like Sarah, or S-A-R-A-Y and S-A-R-A-I. So back to the cards of the Eye of the Needle in 17, which is the dream, and Hathor and Sophia, and the Watchers of the 60, which is finding peace, and that can reference the age decade of the 60s as well, of retirement perhaps, and the 29 of the Horned Cactus, of resourcefulness, present, and gifts, the 2 of the Beloved with radical acceptance of the heart on fire, with the 25 of the Knight of Wands in the Garden of Venus. So then I broke down Garden of Venus, which is the G of God, A-R of that life essence of God, the Den, or the divine JC, because EN for me is code for Jesus Christ, and then the O of the human F, which is digamma, or 2 gamma rays, or twin flames, the V of creation, the E of one equal and congruent to, the Christed us, US, or the U, which is the Holy Grail, and S of Sophia, which the Holy Grail is the whole, or the 0 point field of God's rail, right? That tunnel to the other side. So at 117, or the leap to the star, or the stars, or perhaps your star system, the first card here was the 39 of the Knight of Cups, and the Metox, the shaman's bath in the garden, the Knight of Wands, who may be lighting a fire under the Knight of Cups and the Page of Cups here, in the mindful group think of innocence, with the Knight of Cups and the Page of Cups bathing amidst the flowers, the roses, the trees, the keys, the ancient structures, and the towers, and let them eat cake and play birthday tunes. At 11:44 on the clock, which is so weird in this card, the clock literally says 11:44, which is the time of my birth, and it's also my soul number, my life lesson number. It's just weird that it comes up that way. But it's coming up as let them eat cake, and there is that energy of the Queen, and play birthday tunes at 11:44, Mary Pop-ins style, or people who may just pop in at the last minute. The 19 of the sun and falling angel, blinded by the sun's light, and fell into a dream. So I heard the news today, and again, BBC came up today. The 27 of the Ace of Wands, and the heart home of compassion, which is inspiring, breathing in, or the easy pass connection, going with the flow, compassion. At 122 is the 1 of the masculine and the magician, or that leap, the arc, of the 22 of the Fool with an open heart taking a leap of faith. The underlying energy of the crocodile after the earthworm. And I kind of want to show you these cards so you understand the energy behind the earthworm in this deck, because it looks very much like the collective awakening, which I don't normally get it that way because there's other cards in this deck that represent the collective awakening. But I wanted you to see this so you understand why it's coming up this way. So here's the earthworm. And usually if I see the collective awakening, it's the snake around and then the flowering in the middle type of energy, which is this, but in a very innocent way, because the earthworm in this deck is the vulnerable one who's easily intimidated, right, by people bigger or more powerful than them. But this was coming up as, notice you don't see a head on the snake, you see 2 tails. So when you're seeing top down, you can't make heads or tails of it. But when you see side from the side, when you're on the ground side by side, seeing each other as equals, then you can understand how it works, the spiral energy, that it's not just a circle that's sealed as the snake with the tail and the mouth. And this will come up in the read. Okay, and that second card is the cosmic, is the 7th chakra. I'm talking about the crown again and the awakening. So the earthworm or innocent collective awakening top down and from the side is not sealed but an open spiral around the cosmic egg. Unable to see a head top down, only can see the head side to side or a head. The shark attacks the wise owl, and then going back in the underlying energy is the peacock prior to this. And then the princess and the pea came up, which had to do with being sensitive enough to be a princess, right? That's how they could identify the right one to be their princess, because she was sensitive enough to feel a pea through all those mattresses she had to sleep on. She sees not heads nor tails, only two tails, a tale of two cities, from the top, but clear of head, side by side. The shark attacks wise owl or confronts them about the hard-working beaver, with the slow turtle telling others to go on without them. The elephant, perhaps. The elephant's clearing one big step at a time, with flame and trunk, as the nose knows, and they're on the scent. I was just getting meathead from All in the Family. I don't know why. But this elephant here, tethered and torn, but with ears and eye wide open for cheetah to pounce, springing forth from the oyster, as life is a box of chocolates and you never know which one you're going to get. The big event where the croc lay in wait, but the crocodile was waiting on the wrong side. So the pearl got away, going back the other way to the elephant. The crocodile on one end of this whole scheme of things, and the peacock is on the other end of things. At 134, the leap to the 34 of the arrows of love, the energetic exchange, or the Empress and the Emperor, perhaps. So at 134, the first card here is the Scorpion with their stinger out. And then the Knight of Cups, who took a bath and is about to jump or shock or surprise or sting the rabbit who's not seeing what's coming, as their mind is full of thoughts and their fears, as the vulture sits waiting patiently but is blind as a bat, so they fall off the branch. Or Scorpio and Pisces with Leo grandparent here who's unstable, or the Knight of Cups Scorpio scares the Page of Cups younger sibling, who then bumps into the vulture and knocks them over. There were two cards here of the raccoon on a timeout until they tell the truth, or considered the black egg or dark sheep of the family, or the bad seed, perhaps. Perhaps they were just joking or innocently playing around, but now they are punished or punishing themselves because another one got hurt by their antics. At 141 is the Magician or Divine Masculine, and the 41 of the Ace of Cups, of self-love, spiritual love, new love, or the Holy Grail energy. The underlying energy of the Knight of Pentacles, the humble, loyal servant, makes it through the through the garden, past the crocodile, to offer help and their services and friendship to those happy and free. Or maybe this was them when they scared someone, they just shocked them that they showed up. But they made it through all this difficulty. They made it past the crocodile, right? Going to grandmother's house. She made it through all of that to offer their help, their services, and their friendship to those who are happy and free. Or their offer sets the Queen of Pentacles and Queen of Cups free to partner up with them, or with justice. On Aries to Libra axis here, offered a choice of path of inspiration from the Sovereign Nine of Pentacles, or perhaps the one considered a catch who's now single. Or there's an ultimatum given in court here as the final decree comes in, making people happy. Now the Magician, High Priestess, and Empress are here, or the Magician with sisters, or mother and daughter here. Where Libra, Gemini, or Virgo, with Pisces or Virgo and Taurus, or the Magician and his psychic assistants, who speaks as well, and or an abundant mother here. Or two women, one who's pure in their knowing and one who's abundant in their growing. Or two sides of the same person. The man, both magician with magic DNA and wand, and justice, the man of truth and integrity. Or this is coming up as the description of the twin flame sovereigns. The lovers or twin flames, or Gemini page of pentacles, or an invitation for the Queen of Swords to speak, with the page of swords who's stepping up to the plate, or perhaps advertising in a whirlwind, or a round the world event. Or two children, Gemini and Pisces perhaps, escorting the Queen for a look around, or followed by angels Gabriel and Michael, or Jesus and Thoth, as the Knight of Cups offers love as the winged messenger to the Emperor chariot, or in his vehicle, with the Knight of Swords for backup, or the Emperor gets stopped on the road or pulled over. Good cop, bad cop, perhaps Aries and Cancer here, or escorted in an emergency, or the bigwigs in town, a queen and an emperor, but in separate motor cars and or escorts. Perhaps it was about a story today that when I looked up the Queen, was about the Queen and the BBC and them remembering a story from back in the 1980s about the miners and how he dealt with the Queen at that time, which you can read if you look it up. There's also news about Barbara Walters passing away on Friday as the Warrior Queen at age 93. So at 210, which is the High Priestess, the Divine Feminine or Higher Self, and the 10 of Destiny or that higher vibration. So two pages around the Queen of Swords and two knights around the Emperor et al. And the 9 of Swords not sleeping or stressed out, and the wounded warrior on guard, defensive to the Knight of Cups and their offer of love or kind words. Yet behind the wounded warrior's temptation lurks, with the Knight of Swords darting in for the scoop, the Empress with sister above, and the Emperor below traveling with the princess between them. Like the brigade is actually for the princess, where the Empress has one brigade or, series of cars with them, and then the Emperor does too, but the princess is being protected in the middle. The Emperor's guarded about codependent mate or jealous Empress who could attack them if they're not present in their defense. But it looks like the Emperor ends up defending the devil, while innocent High Priestess, Queen of Swords, or the Princess, chariot may be stuck in the middle. So remember that the Knight of Cups was that Scorpio energy who played a prank or just showed up without notice, and the Page of Cups, the innocent victim, now lying to the parents, swearing to the other who would get in trouble after acting all angelic, maybe they weren't so. So which one here is the little devil, and who caused the old bird to fall? The King of Swords, perhaps Aries or Emperor, looks back at the perpetrator and trying a fresh approach as the savior. But isn't that the definition of a narcissist, of being the perpetrator and then turning around and being the savior? And then the King of Pentacles looks the other way as Capricorn, snubbing them, making himself superior to them or above them, and not being able to make heads or tails. Or the Emperor's confused as to how to approach the situation. But then the Knight of Wands, in the end, rushes in to save the day, while the Hermit, Virgo, or Old Man, sheds light, offering the best of both sides of them. The young persons get up and go, and the old person's wisdom. The underlying energy had been that the Page of Wands was inspired to surprise the King of Cups and Page of Cups, having a loving moment together. Or maybe they were just overexcited to see them. And then, remember, because they made their way through the forest and all that just to get there in the first place. And then the King of Swords, Scorpio perhaps, comes in and bowls right over them as the priest pleads mercy for the Queen of Wands and Knight of Pentacles, who are innocent and didn't mean to hurt or kill the old person. Or was the King of Swords laying in wait the whole time to witness Scorpio bowl over all of them with the kids pleading for God, to God for mercy? Or the King of Swords may be blaming all of them for what the Scorpio did alone and got away with it? Or is this the King of Swords' dark night forcing the kids to own up to what they've done and take responsibility, when the old religious leader here may be pleading forgiveness, for they're just children? But they're the Queen of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles, so they're not really children. They're at least almost grown up or adult. So the Knight of Pentacles made the queens happy, seeing eye to eye with justice to be served, considering them independents or grown up for a change, able to act on their own behalfs and belief systems, with Magician, Judge, or perhaps Libra, Virgo, or Gemini, and the Queen of Pentacles, Taurus, or Virgo, and the Queen of Cups, Pisces, or Virgo. Maybe for one here, the younger sibling doesn't get, or maybe for once here, the younger sibling doesn't get their way just because they're the little one at 240, which is the Divine Feminine, and then the Page of Cups, again, the little one. I'm the baby, gotta love me. So we have the King of Wands siding with the Knight of Wands, ultimately, and the King of Pentacles, Hermit, putting their stamp of approval on it, right? So they're using the best of both worlds instead of going into their negative sides of indecision and superiority at 241, which is the higher self or the Divine Feminine, and the 41 of the Ace of Cups again. So the underlying energy here is the 50 of the 10 of Cups and that happy family or the ultimate emotional fulfillment, which is the potential gateway or that magic tree of the Gulf Stream, the magical tree. And the 4 is the next card of the Emperor, which in the energy deck, the 4 and the family is the same card. The 4 of the Emperor's magic family and the little fairy girl who pauses to touch the trunk and then gains stability from him, perhaps an elephant trunk. The 26 is the Page of Wands, being called to be true to your heart, as the grounded peacock, perhaps, or earthy fire, is loving themselves to heighten their vitality. The 49 of the 9 of Cups of being self-satisfied or getting your wish, as the Queen of Wands brings out her earthy, responsible side in order to get their wish, finding their true colors in transition and a renewal to peace. Perhaps some jealousy here around a new baby or new project getting more attention than they were. The 29 of the 3 of Wands being present to contemplation as the butterfly lioness and her gifts come out, and the 5 of clearing out the old for freedom in change. With the 47 of the 4 to 7 sweet spot of the heart to the crown, and synchronicities and the laughter of those synchronicities and heaven in their eyes as surprise, as the little boy avatars create thunder rolls and laughing all the way, ha ha ha. And the 2 of illumination of the butterfly daughters partnering up to see the dark side of the moon together, brave now in their independence. So at 250, which is the Divine Feminine and the happy family of the 10 of Cups, that magical family tree, is the 11 of justice, truth, and balance, and alignment in making a decision, of the 24 of the Queen of Wands to be your best self always, and the Queen of Wands wild child in playing and riding the seahorse or Pegasus, who may be perhaps sensitive to the drama queen Andromeda, or perhaps Andromeda has a dramatic father, which can be again the King of Cups and the Page of Cups along with the Page of Wands or the Knight of Pentacles, both the same person. This was also coming up as the African Queen, the 36 of the Atlas energy of the weight of the world, and also the map of intent or intuition, the intuit connection, the twin towers of you and I, and Esther Williams here as the middleman or synchronized swimmers with flowered bathing cap on fire or turned on and activated in the Garden of Venus in their me-talks in a mindful group think, with 2 cards here at the end of 22 and 21 of that leap of faith in walking a fine line over the web in a fresh approach, free yet mature, knowing they carry the rainbow in their womb, not their wounds, at 2:55 to 6, which is the truth, and then their knowing. Okay, so now we get to the 7-deck read, which is not a 7-deck read today. It's a 3-deck read, which is on the table. And I can show you the picture of that as well. So here's the read on the table. Okay, so we just have the main SIRIAN Starseed deck, the Rider-Waite Mini is the clarifiers, and then the numerology deck is out here too, with a lot of oranges and purples of the sacral chakra and the third eye. And again, referencing the womb we were just talking about and the awakening of the third eye to the crown. So this was, looking at the wrong one, hold on. So this one was cut and dealt last night at 6:21. And that's the summer solstice, right? 6:21, that's significant. And that's come up before as messages recently. I finished clarifying at 6:33 to 34, which is that Christ vibration going into that energetic exchange between the Empress and the Emperor. And again, the 6 of the lovers, or love, family, and community, and the 21 of the world. There were no major arcana in the main part of the read. But after the read was alchemy, which is the Temperance card, and strength, and the Starseed, which is the Fool. There were 4 swords, 4 cups, and 3 pentacles here. So there's that 443 of 2 emperors and 1 empress, or the 44 of Hercules and the 3 of the empress. Remember, Hercules is her harvest, or the 4 of cups of being bored or apathetic, or grounding, integrating, and mastering how to receive love. The Page of Swords came up here in the read, as well as the Queen of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups again. The Queen of Wands and Knight of Wands came up prior to the read, and the Knight of Swords came up after the read here. There were triple 3s here, as I brought up the 333 in the beginning of the video. And we had double 1s, double 4s, and double 8s as well. The 11 of Justice, the 44 of the Hercules, that 4 of Cups energy we just talked about, and the 88 of the 2 twins, both in their masculine and feminine, dancing side by side. And also we have the 34 of the energetic exchange, the arrows of love, the 89 of the Phi energy, which is expanding and contracting, or staying in the middle, reflecting, perhaps as the princess. Then 9, 10, begin again, perhaps closing some doors. And the 13 of transition, or the death card, the 34 we talked about already, 45 is the grieving card or purging card, the 5 of Cups. And then 58, which is the 4 of Swords, that taking a break or rest or sleeping card, or perhaps the 5D connection between the twins. And then 48 comes up here as well, which is the 8 of Cups of walking away and within, right, from something you've put a lot of emotions into. So the message line here was all about surrender and new beginnings, and the numbers came up in a couple different ways. So I wasn't sure if I should use the numbers in the code line or not. The first number that came up was 389, but also 89 and 92 are coming up, whatever might be significant to you. And the first thing I was getting from the code line was Saturn. So that's significant, which is also Capricorn. The messages came up as this, as Sophia, again coming up, and I was just getting a rabbit in the middle as the year goes into the rabbit. So the Chinese year at the end of this month goes into the rabbit. And Lilith goes into Leo. I think Lilith is in, I can't remember. Is it in, it's in Cancer right now. It's going into Leo. I think on the 8th. I'm not positive though. So Sophia, a source egg of the high road, or 309, or 309, which is a highway, but 309 also comes up as 369, where 6 is 0 because it's in the present moment. It's the middle spot. It's the now moment. But the show of power up of 1, of course, and the 4 of Cups of Hercules, or her harvest, and the alternating currents here to the nth degree regarding the 84, which is the reflection of the 48 of walking away and within, but also being the 8 dance versus the 4 of the lamb to leap, the lamb of Christ and the Father, or that leap of the 1. And the dance or strength and stability of the Emperor in surrendering to a new beginning. Also the essay, or to say brother, sister, and the 309, or powering up, or the highway of powering up, the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups and the 4 of Cups, which is the Holy Grail and that Hercules energy, the love for Hercules, or again, to say blessings before your meals. From 3 to 8, that could be a shift for someone, or the 38 of the Queen of Cups for surrender and new beginnings. Satiety, being satisfied, to sow and to plant. The ether energy of a show of power up, of love or receiving, the high road. And E8 to 4 was coming up here. So again, another shift, 3 to 8 or 8 to 4. Maybe you're being given a choice of shifts. But E is also 1 equal and congruent to the 8 of the dance, to the 4 of stability. Or the 38 of the Empress, so to speak, and her dance, because we have 38 and then 84, which is the dance of the Empress towards the dance of the Emperor. So we also have here consciousness of the tail fin, or the end, the fish tail, perhaps spinning out of control, either powering up to the 1, of course, for of emotions before meals, or in alternating currents, or air conditioning. Again, perhaps that air sign needs conditioning the most because they're very much of the mind, which we're turning off, right? Trying to let go of those thoughts. 3 to 8, again, of the dance of the Empress or the Queen of Cups there for surrender and new beginnings. And then the writing an essay, perhaps, of yours. Perhaps about threonine. Maybe you need threonine for whatever reason. And powering up acing consciousness here. Again, threonine is also 309, or the high road, THR. And surrender to new beginnings. Receiving love before meals, perhaps. Again, thanking your food, becoming one with your food in order to transmute any negative energies they may have experienced if you're eating animals, if they were killed, to transmute any negative energies regarding their death or their torture while they were still alive. And to become one with your foods so that it will go down well. And then the Queen of Cups for surrender and new beginnings, which is about focus, being in your heart space when you eat so that you take in your food in the best way possible. So the 3 of Swords is the first card here in the underlying energies there on the top here. I don't know if you can see that there, okay, with the mini cards on top. And there's the King of Cups again. So the 3 of Swords is upright, and below that is the Queen of Wands reversed, the 5 of Swords upright, the Knight of Wands upright, the 3 of Wands upright, and the 8 of Wands upright. So a lot of Wands energy there. And remember, too, we talked about John Lennon and his son, and we had the King of Cups and the Page of Cups. So here's this energy of that father and son who are like each other, and they usually get the worst of it because they're facing themselves, as opposed to the one that's like the other parent. They probably get spoiled by the person. So you have the Queen of Wands reversed and the Chariot upright here prior to that, facing the 5 of Swords frog, trying to become the prince, stretching and growing, and the Knight of Wands being present to the energetic exchange or the arrows of love, or just lots of communication and travel back and forth in separation. Clinging to the Chariot, the Queen of Wands reversed may be ignoring the Knight of Swords, looking for a fight, by being present to flame in energetic exchange at a distance, or through a storm. The wounded warrior surrenders, allowing the fall, embarrassing themselves in front of the Knight of Cups reversed and the King of Cups. Again, there's that father and son energy. Or this is a rejected King of Cups, or jealous King of Cups, or perhaps his partner is. Or the wounded warrior took a fall while out with father or older brother, or the High Priestess peeking out for an offer of big love for or from the Hierophant reversed, or spiritually uncomfortable dealing with emotions, or one who's a divorcee now, who's been unwilling to walk away. Perhaps bored of streaming, or the old boys club that fell apart after streaming, or in 2023, uncomfortable, stuck in emotions, no longer wanting to be in them. The High Priestess, Pisces or Virgo, looking out for the Holy Communion to fill the Holy Grail. Alternative views may be uncomfortable, or divorced but hasn't walked away yet. With Aries reversed and Taurus reversed, but Pisces upright here, which also be protecting the child. Here's the Emperor and the Empress in the different brigades, having their own packs around them or their own teams around them, but ultimately to protect the child in the middle. Teaching and learning, and then the 57. And are they protecting a grown child, which would be ridiculous, right? Because it's up to them to choose what they want. So the 57 is the 3 of Swords, and then music of the 32, which is the journey, or the journeyman coming in with the good news, leading the way. So the journey through the separation of frustrated Queen of Pentacles reversed, and the recent past where the Ace of Cups is upright here. And this is an overwhelming amount of love just pouring out everywhere. Being awake and aware to the Knight of Swords Libra, going back with a message or delivery about a breakup or lack of affection at work, with third party performing for the Emperor upright, or bad influences around them, as the Emperor's distracting him, or he is actually the one juggling. So it's like the Emperor there, and there's other people entertaining him, but they're actually doing it to distract them, the Emperor, from what's really going on. Or is it actually the Emperor who's distracting himself, so he doesn't have to deal with what's actually going on? The Knight of Swords is aligning with the third party while distracting the Emperor so that he doesn't know what they're up to at 8:12, which is the dance of the hanging man, or hanging out with them in an awakening or seeing new perspectives, or an outpouring of love in separation here, with the foundation of the Knight of Swords upright, hiding underground and clinging, or clingy King of Swords reversed, or clinging to the King of Swords reversed, with clarity about the Knight of Wands and what they're up to, knocking the King of Swords reversed off balance, or is the King of Swords the one they actually bowled over? The central energy here is the Page of Swords, and the child or message, perhaps they got hurt on the way to the hospital or home. So did a child, both stories could come out here where a child got hurt. Maybe someone was out skiing and got hurt and had to go to the hospital, but I think they're okay. But this could also be an older person who fell over and got hurt. And of course, that could be more serious consequences. Or dumping a load, burdens or responsibility, to travel or move to new passion project with a group that had rejected them before. Or maybe you get a second chance at an interview with someone who you didn't get the job before. Or finished up really quickly at work for Emperor, or while he was watching, so then they could then dump everything to take off for an opportunity, a job, or an audition, or just fun, right, after work, or an interview, or on a quest yet vulnerable or overconfident here, which is really interesting because it came up in the movie last night about the girl who got trapped in the freezer. And she got trapped in the freezer because she was leaving work, and the other two guys just brought a frozen shipment in only because they had just come out to leave, and the boss had these 2 boxes just dropped off, and he was on the phone, so he wasn't paying attention. And the 2 boys were going to bring the boxes in because he was forcing them to, but they were trying to get somewhere. So they saw her leaving, and then they asked her if she would put them in the freezer for them, and she agreed to that. But again, here's that energy of, wanting to rush out of work to get somewhere. And again, she had already punched out when she took the freezer stuff back in the freezer, so nobody knew she was there. And again, here's this energy of being overconfident in something. So the other guys perhaps being overconfident in their right to get out early or leave to go where they were going. Or if they got hurt, the King of Swords reversed and the Knight of Wands may be rushing in to meet them. All right, this could also be a parent who got called and they're going to rush to meet them at the hospital or something like that, or wherever they got hurt. The challenge being the 4 of Cups reversed, starting over or coming off the island, holding on to self-satisfaction or confidence with the King of Wands upright, with bad memories of the Page of Swords, or past messages coming back to haunt him now, or remembering the Page of Cups reversed as a problem child and now running into them all grown up, and they're very different now. And now here's the Eight of Cups reversed, or 28, which is the twin flames energy, and the Two of Cups uncomfortable with grieving, the Ten of Pentacles reversed family, business, or community, and the Nine of Pentacles not grieving, right? Being there very independent and withholding or saving or playing hardball and seemingly very happy and not going through this grieving process, or perhaps starting over with the Queen of Swords, sharing, giving to find peace from their issues at work. So maybe they already went through a big grieving period, so they're not going to plan another year grieving because they've already been doing that for a long time. So soon here is the Ace of Swords reversed in a split or divide or a lie of the Page of Wands reversed, who may be all over the place, running away from the divine feminine in the 5D, or their upside down world, or Pisces reversed, Leo reversed, or kids who are out of control here and not sleeping at night, or awakening and coming out. The twin flames may be seeing themselves as the Queen of Pentacles reversed, or the Queen of Pentacles reversed in their energy, in exile, injured, ill, or out in the cold, depressed Queen of Wands reversed, and Knight of Pentacles reversed, which are the same two that came up in that other message, making magic, ending pain, or giving a massage or a painful ending. The patient angel with the Page of Pentacles, or an invite or an opportunity extended, or held over the Queen of Wands' head. And again, that's the two kids who were, whose fault was it the other person got hurt? And that they needed to be treated more independently, so they act more like grown-ups that they are now. With the Aquarius reversed, Gemini reversed, Virgo and Sag upright here, and lots of Earth, with 3 characters here who are Earth signs, the Queen of Pentacles reversed with the Knight of Pentacles reversed, and the Page of Pentacles who's upright here. So the one who came in to surprise them and to help them, who might have gotten blamed, is upright here. But the other two who reversed, because maybe they were actually the ones playing tricks on each other and then calling each other out, maybe they were both to blame. But the around the twins, or how they're seeing, is the Knight of Cups reversed, home destined to face their fears, or home with Libra always on the defensive or ready to spar, dumping multiple loads or emotional attachments, and weak Queen of Cups reversed, maybe detoxing with the Empress or detoxing the Empress, mother or boss, who's putting the pressure on at home, or the pressure on to fight with them, with Libra upright and Taurus upright, and Leo and Capricorn reversed between, and lots of water reversed here, with the Knight of Cups reversed and the Queen of Cups reversed, or 2 different families here, one with the Queen of Pentacles and Knight of Pentacles reversed, and the Magician parent, or a masculine energy, and then the Saggy Queen of Wands reversed, extending an invite to the Empress upright mother type energy, with the Queen of Cups and Knight of Cups both reversed, who are detoxing and on the defensive. The block here is the Three of Pentacles reversed, with issues at work, in energetic exchange or the hours of love, waking them both up at the same time, rising and waking, or both early risers, or up really late at night. With new beginnings, surrender, but even more so, completion, and the number 9, with the Four of Pentacles divine masculine's heart in the Batcave, and the King of Pentacles reversed, present to an announcement and defenseless to the energies and or attacks, and the Hermit shedding light on sudden events and reaping what's been sown at 8:37, which is the dance or the strength, the manifesting of dreams, and then the 37 of the King of Cups again, or unconditional love there. So under the radar, or feeling a failure, releasing at night, or with Cancer and separation, in disconnect or at a distance, the divine masculines in the Batcave, the patient angel ending pain, with the Knight of Swords sending 5D messages causing weakness and perhaps a fall, or knocked for a loop, or didn't make it through the loop-de-loop, or somersault and fell, but all ended well with the 10 of Cups family. The Knight of Swords needing the courage to make the delivery, perhaps embarrassing themselves in front of the Ten of Cups, or the ultimate emotional fulfillment. Separation after energetic exchange, or the arrows of love, or just lots of energy back and forth. And the Nine of Swords hiding from being fully exposed to the elements, with the Queen of Pentacles reversed and the Knight of Cups reversed, exuding love in the Page of Swords message. Challenged by starting over in a split with issues at work, uncomfortable leaving the Divine Masculine in the Batcave with patience, ending pain, or in a painful ending here, with the Knight of Swords upright, needing strength and courage to jump through hoops and take a fall, or perhaps be willing to embarrass themselves, and the Knight of Wands present to their flame and energetic exchange at a distance in a storm, exuding love and hiding underground, clearly the Page of Swords starting over and uncomfortable leaving, the Queen of Pentacles reversed in a split or lying to the Knight of Cups reversed with issues at work, or about third party at work with the Divine Masculine heart in the Batcave, uncomfortable dealing with their emotions of patience and massage, or ending pain of the Knight of Swords and 5D messages or delivery, needing courage to jump through fires only to end up on their ass perhaps. At 8:49, the dance of getting your wish. So there are your messages. All right. I'm going to pull from the Journey of Love. So what is your takeaway from all of this? So again, dealing with Hermit energy and the family, and the South Node of getting rid of the stuff that no longer serves you regarding Scorpio, which came up as the villain in the story today. And crocodile smiles are coming up right now too. Okay, for the twins, what is our takeaway today? Oh, there we go. So 2 cards came out. We have within nothing, there is everything. So again, the womb of the earth, the 2 of the divine feminine and the higher self, along with the King of Wands, the year that it is, 2023. Across the waters it is. And here's the space between. The space between. And she's standing in the cyclone of the vortex, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, the earth births. Okay. So she's seeing the masculine coming in at the light at the end of the tunnel, as the earth is birthing as well. All birthing together. And then here's that energy of the Earth Angel 54 with a message pulling the blankets up here. There's very similar energy right there. So she's making preparations here in the underlying energies to get ready to welcome the masculine in here in the birthing of the planet, of becoming a star. So because the planet's supposed to be becoming a star right now. So the Page of Swords, which is that the Mercury messenger energy, and again the twin energy of Mercury, of the twins and the Virgo, which came up here, Virgo, but also the messenger twin energy of Gemini. And then the feminine standing in the cyclone, now that she's calm both in the vortex and in the chaos, is standing there calmly in both, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, waiting for the birthing to happen. So very interesting. But I'm going to read that to you as well. Bye, hun. Teddy went to the spa today to get his nails and stuff done, so she's going to pick him up. He loves going there. So the number 2 here was the first card. Within nothing, there is everything. From a point of stillness, a moment, a complete universe is opening up to you, endlessly expanding. Your every thought and intention sends ripples of consciousness through the universe. What a creative being you are. You're sending consciousness into motion, bringing your creation into being. With every inner desire, with every whispered wish, the universe receives your yearning and aspirations with open arms, returning them to you as manifestation in your life. What is really in your heart? Open your arms, sigh, speak your heart truth aloud to the loving universe and receive it as your destiny manifesting now. This oracle brings you a message, or a message to you. Something that you want is on its way to you. It may seem to be coming out of nowhere, no sign on the horizon to give you hope, yet it is coming to you anyway. It is spiritual law that you cannot be denied the manifestation of your heart's desire. Trust and remain open to the tide of universal love rushing toward you, swelling within you now. The wind moves gently, through trees quiet water flows. Life's song calls softly, rise and be loved.